Internet. Welcome to Guardian of Stories. This is me, Guardian. This is a second video for a. Okay, let me redo this. Of course, I messed up the intro. Hello, Internet. Guardian of Stories here. I am the Guardian. Damn it, I messed it up again. Whatever. Let me try one more time. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Guardian of Stories. I am your Guardian. This is part 2, video 2, of my god dang it, whatever, continuing on. This is the second video of my two planned videos for this week for D&D. I say planned because, as you hopefully saw in my previous video that will be put out later today, because it's like 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm making this. We put out like around somewhere around lunchtime. I explained, because I do not know if I'm going to have D&D this week, a session, I am putting 2 videos out in order to satiate y'all's hunger for D&D. The previous one was on character creation, where I created a backup character for my campaign in case we do have a session this week or next week or sometime in the next month, and my character Jace dies. This video is on my homebrew content, which, as you can see right here, videos that I personally made. Not videos. Homebrew that I personally created. As you can see too, I have a decent amount. Some of it is stuff I created from scratch. Others are things that I made with the basis of another item already there, or another piece of D&D material. We are going to start from the top with Arcane Rebound. Now, as a quick aside, Arcane Rebound here is essentially just Hellish Rebuke, but for casters that are not warlocks. As you can see here, it is for bards, sorcerers. You can also use it for your warlock, but not necessary. And especially wizards. It is a 2nd level spell, uses a reaction as a casting time, with the caveat that it can only be done as a reaction when you take damage from a spell, a creature you can cast by a creature that you can see within 90 feet of you. That is important. Keep that in mind. The range in area, as previously mentioned, is 90 feet. Its components are verbal, somatic, which means you have to make hand gestures, and material, with the material component being a spellcasting focus. So if you are a spellcaster that has no focus and is only using component pouch, you are SOL. The duration is instantaneous. This because it's a reaction spell. It happens immediately. It is from the Evocation School of Magic. It requires a dexterity saving throw, and it causes damage. Now for the description. When you take damage from a spell cast by a creature that you can see within 90 feet of you, you can use your reaction to rebound, see what I did there, half of the taken damage, rounded up, meaning, for instance, say you take, say, half, and the opponent deals 30 damage to you. No, let's say they deal 31 points of fire damage from a fireball. You, as the person using Arcane Rebound, will instead deal 15 rounded up, which, because it's 31, you round up to 16. You'll round up to 16 points of damage back at the target. Back at the one who attacked you. Will hit you with a spell damage. Hit you with a spell. You rebound the half of the taken damage rounded up back towards the creature. That creature must make a dexterity saving throw, taking full damage from the spell on a failed save or none on a successful. The damage from the spell is the same type as the spell damage you took. Now, the reason this is not the same as Hellish Rebuke. 1. It does not deal 2d10 or 2d anything. It has no dice rolled. Whatever damage you take, cut that in half and dish it back, and you deal it back to whoever casts this damaging spell upon you. So long as they are within 90 feet. 2, big caveat. This is the biggest caveat. It only reacts to damage from spell, so spell damage. So Fireball, Disintegrate, Vampiric Touch, spell spells that do not cause damage do not work. Do not count for this spell. This thing cannot activate on damage that is not from spells or on spells that do not cause damage. So Compel Duel, nothing happens. If you get hit in the face by a weapon, magical or otherwise, does not matter. Only spell damage. Additionally, if you somehow manage to take no spell damage from a spell, such as if you don't activate the secondary damage from Booming Blade, where if you move more than 5 feet, you take however many D8 thunder damage, or if you happen to succeed on a save, for say Toll the Dead, where you and that's meaning you don't take any necrotic damage if you succeed the Wisdom save. This spell cannot be used. It can only be used if you take spell damage, specifically damage from a spell. But however, I still think this is a useful spell as it gives you the ability to dish damage back. However, of course, it is a reaction, so most people is going to be fighting for space and for usage between other spells such as protection from energy, protection, and absorb elements, which are usually more useful when dealing with damage from certain spells. However, this spell is still very useful, especially at the beginning of a round or beginning of a fight. Especially if you take a lot of damage from a spellcaster who uses, say, Disintegrate. Next up is Arcane Suppression. This one I've actually published. It is a 4th level spell. Requires a casting time of 1 action, has a range of 30 feet, and requires verbal, somatic, and material components, with material being blood of the caster. Now, granted, I could say you don't necessarily need it to be fresh, you could also have a vial of it, but regardless, it still requires blood of the caster for material component. Now, obviously, you can substitute that for a spellcasting focus, because most material spells that don't have a cost can in fact just use a spellcasting focus. It is a concentration spell with a duration of 1 minute, which is pretty good. That's about 10 rounds. Which is a lot. That's usually most fights last around only maybe a minute or less. It is from the Abjuration School of Magic, so it is a defensive spell, a protective spell. It requires an intelligence saving throw from your target, and it is specifically a control effect spell. And it can be used by wizards and the Eldritch Knight. This is actually the first of my homebrew spells I created. You attempt to suppress a creature's ability to use magic. One creature that you can see within range must make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the creature will be unable to cast spells for the duration of the spell or until the spell is ended. On a successful save, the creature is unaffected. The spell ends if you end your turn more than 30 feet away from the target. So as you can see, I made this specifically to screw over, sorry YouTube, to mess with spellcasters, people like wizards, bards, clerics, druids, warlocks, and sorcerers, as it literally will negate their ability to use magic. So meaning that at bare minimum, they will not be able to cast spells. Think of this essentially as a minute-long counterspell. You use this, and boom! If they fail that intelligence save, they will not be using magic for the duration of that minute, or until you lose concentration, or you end your turn more than 30 feet away from them. It's not if they end their turn; it is if you end your turn more than 30 feet. So they can try and run out of your range, or so they can try to run out of your range. But a great way for this thing to be used is also if you want to subdue someone, get rid of their magic, but then boom, knock them out. And later on, once they've started waking up, you cast it and you just continuously recast it. Yes, they require an intelligence save, but it is also really good for someone who has the extended spell meta magic feature, which would be great for this. I personally like the spell, but is basically a slightly longer version of Counterspell, but requires an action and is a spell and lasts and requires a higher level spell slot. But overall, I still think it's pretty decent. Granted, as an Eldritch Knight, I would not be getting this till like level 20 anyway. So overall, pretty painful for me to not use as an Eldritch Knight, which is what I was planning to use it for anyway. Next up is the spell Element Surge. Element Surge is a second level spell. It requires a bonus action casting time, a range of touch, so it only affects what you are physically touching. Once again, verbal, somatic, and material components. The material component being a martial weapon worth at least 1 silver piece, same as Booming Blade. It is also a concentration spell lasting 1 minute. It is from the Evocation School of Magic, so it deals with dealing damage and elemental stuff. You're evoking the power of an element or of something or of some type of magic or some kind of force. It does not require a saving throw, and it deals, well, it does say acid. This little bit just means that it can deal can just deal a range of damages, and which you will see in a moment. As a Now for description. As a bonus action, you can run your hand down the length of a weapon, imbuing it with elemental power. Choose one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. For the duration of the spell, you can deal an extra 1d6 damage of the chosen type upon hitting a creature with the imbued weapon. When upcasted at higher levels, you get this. When you cast a spell using a spell slot level of 3rd or higher, the extra damage increases by 1d6 for each spell slot level above 2nd. This is basically a smite spell and the absorb element spell. A smite spell and an absorb element spell combined as as I like to say, a slightly better version of divine favor. As you can use this to literally just imbue your weapon with as much with an extra elemental damage, and it counts as magical, and it can last for a minute. Is it not very long? No, but it's only a bonus action, and again, at high levels you can add more damage to it, so still rather useful. Now, I will not be doing this. Now, for the next one is Flame of Renewal. I will not be doing 1.1, version 1. I'll be using version 2 because that's the better version and it's the updated one. I basically screwed something up on this one when I published, and I fixed it in this one. The Flame of Renewal is a great axe and of legendary quality, and requires attunement by a paladin or cleric of Murta. That is a god in my current campaign. Here is a description of this item. A magical weapon forged and blessed by the best smiths and highest priests of the Order of the Flames of Rebirth, and the order which devotes itself to the goddess Murta, goddess of redemption and renewal. I think, I can't remember. It's like 5 a.m. It's like 5:30 in the morning. The Flame of Renewal is only granted the greatest champions of Murta to wield. When used for weapon attack, it deals an additional 1d6 fire and 1d6 radiant damage. Not a lot of damage, but 2d6 total damage, 1 of fire and 1 of radiant, so pretty decent. The axe has 4 charges. While attuned to it, you can expend charges to cast Dispel spells, Dispel Magic, Lesser Restoration, Remove Curse, and Greater Restoration. Lesser Restoration costs 1 charge, Dispel Magic and Remove Curse 2, and Greater Restoration 3. Once the charges are spent, this feature cannot be used until the next day at dawn. The axe regains 1d4 plus 1 expired charges daily at dawn. Proficiency with a great axe allows you to add your proficiency bonus to the attack roll for any attack you make with it. This whole bit right here is for the 2024 rules, aka 5.5e. This does not matter. Now, for all the Frostband weapons, these are basically the exact same as the Frostbrand longsword or greatsword. As you can see, pretty much the exact same. Frostbrand glaive and all that. Again, basically the same as the Frostbrand swords. When you hit a weapon, an attack roll, when you hit with an attack roll using this magic weapon, the target takes 1d6 cold damage, and while you are holding it, you have resistance. You have resistance to fire damage. In freezing temperatures, the weapon sheds bright light in 10-foot radius and dim light for an additional 10. When you draw this weapon, you can extinguish all non-magical flames within 30 feet of yourself. Once used, this property cannot be used again for an hour. And it's going to be the same for all the other frost brands. Boom and boom. Next up, the Gauntlets of Giant's Might, another published and approved item. Wondrous item of legendary rarity. Forged and this is one I just added for the hell of it. Forged and enchanted by a legendary smith who had spent many years among giants, this set of magical gauntlets grants the user the strength and endurance of true giants. When attuned to this item, the user's strength and con are increased by 6 to a maximum of 26. When wielded and attuned creatures, unarmed strikes become magical attacks for the purpose of overcoming resistances and immunities. The gauntlets have 6 charges. The wielder can expend one of these charges to use their action to grow in size by one size category, from medium to large, for example. This effect grants the user advantage on strength checks and saving throws, and lasts for 1 minute, or can be ended early as a bonus action. Once these charges are expended, this effect cannot be used until the next dawn. The gauntlets regain 1d4 minus 1 charges each day at dawn. So these are basically a better version, in my opinion, of Gauntlets of Ogre Strength, because I wanted it to be so. And is another item that grants bonuses to your constitution, because in my opinion, we do not have enough items that grant extra constitution, and I feel like we need more. Next up is Gauntlets of Miros, which is from the same campaign as the Flame of Renewal. Miros is a god of strength, resistance, and endurance. A pair of tungsten gauntlets forged in the image of the god Miros' mighty fists, because he has tungsten-coated fists. Deals 2d6 bludgeoning and an additional 1d8 radiant damage on a hit. That's some pretty good damage. And as you can see, it's basically based off of the maul as a weapon, because it needs to be counted as such in order to deal damage. It is essentially, a maul is a two-handed hammer, in essence. It's the great hammer, to be perfectly blunt. Now, besides the damage, you also get a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls, so it is a +1 magic weapon. It provides a +1 bonus to armor class and saving throws as well. And like all weapons, proficiency with maul allows you to add your proficiency bonus to the attack roll for any attack you make with it. Once again, this does not matter. And because we don't have all that many weapons of warning, and we don't have a great sword of warning, I decided I shall make this. Because yes, you can technically get weapon of warning, but whatever. And I'll let you read this. I'm not going to bother reading it for you. Next up is the Oath of Wrath. I'll read that in a moment. Good water. The Oath of Wrath subclass. Paladins who take the Oath of Wrath possess a singular focus and strength of will, through which channel their unwavering fury. I need to fix that. Through which they channel their unwavering fury to hunt down and destroy their enemies with an unquenchable zeal. This desire to defeat their foes is what drives them, the rage serving as fuel for this grim purpose to which they have committed themselves towards. All their actions are taken for the furtherment of the hunt, with every outstretched hand given to aid, and every vicious swing of their sword aiming towards the eventual destruction of their sworn foe. Essentially, if you added a ranger, if a paladin was a barbarian. Tenets of Wrath. The Hunt. I will pursue my hated foe until the end of my days, for, from one end of the from one end of the world to the other, across all the planes of existence, through either my death or theirs. Unyielding conviction. In the pursuit of my sworn enemy, I will do what I must to find and destroy them. No matter how difficult the task, nor hard the road might be, nothing and no one shall stand in my way. Judgment. Upon the end of my hunt, swift and terrible shall be my wrath. Basically, wrath, or essentially my punishment. Death you have reaped and sown across the land and upon the countless scores of your victims. Now death and oblivion shall I deliver unto you. Yes, that is a bit badass and a bit edgy. Sue me. I don't care. I like it. Child Divinity. Champion of Violence. As an action, you may use your Child Divinity to empower the strength of your blows. For 1 minute, your attacks now deal an additional 1d4 radiant damage. Basically, for a minute, you have. Basically, as for Child Divinity feature, for a minute, you get Divine Favor. Unyielding Resolve. When you will be reduced to 0 hit points, as a reaction, you may use your Child Divinity to be reduced to 1 hit point instead. Essentially, it is the this is essentially another version of the Barbarian's Unyielding Rage and the half horse. Actually, I think it's also Unyielding Rage. I don't remember. It's something Resilience, I think, or Endurance. I don't remember. Basically, it does the exact same thing. As a reaction, you can instead drop to 1 hit point instead of 0 if you aren't outright killed. For the Oath spells or the Oath of Wrath, at 3rd level you get Compelled Duel and Guiding Bolt. 5th level you get Misty Step and Spiritual Weapon. 9th level Counterspell and Haste. 13th Aura of Purity and Dimension Door. 17th level Destructive Wave and Flame Strike. So basically damage, control, and mobility spells are what this class uses for its Oath spells. Aura of Resistance. By 7th level, you emanate an aura that strengthens the bodies of you and your companions. While you are not incapacitated, you and your allies within 10 feet of you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Essentially Barbarian Rage. Very useful. By 18th level, the range of this aura increases to 30 feet. Purity of Purpose. At 15th level, you have advantage on saving throws against being blinded, charmed, grappled, paralyzed, restrained, and stunned. Also, just a quick aside, back to Order of Resistance. These 3, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage, that counts also for magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Now moving on to Avatar of Wrath. Avatar of Wrath. At 20th level, you become the physical manifestation of Wrath. For 1 hour, you gain the following benefits. You have advantage on all attack rolls, improved Divine Smite, which, as a paladin feature, means your strikes can always deal an extra 1d8 radiant damage. Avatar of Wrath improves that to 2d8 for an hour, so it basically doubles that. So pretty decent. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. And that, dear people, is Oath of Wrath. And quick aside before I go to Pelgrinak the Marked, which is the monster. Here is the Rapier of Warning, same as the other weapons of warning. I will do this one as well. Stormbrand Great Axe, which is basically essentially is kind of like the Frostbrand, but also kind of like the Flame Tongue. A magical great axe imbued with the power of a storm. As a bonus action, you can speak the command word and cause the axe to shed bright light for 20 feet and dim light for an additional 10. In addition, while holding this weapon, you have resistance to lightning damage. When you roll hit on an attack roll, you deal an extra 2d6 lightning damage to the target. And the same thing as that. However, this one is actually different from Stormbrand. This magical weapon has the thrown property and can be used as a thrown weapon. When thrown, you can recall the weapon to your hand as a bonus action. Yes, this is basically Stormbreaker from Marvel. Additionally, when you roll a hit on an attack roll, you can deal an extra 1d8 thunder damage to the target. Kind of like Mjolnir. And then go to Pelkanat. Actually, I'll do Wandering Knight. Whatever. This is a background. A lone warrior that travels the land in search of purpose, glory, or fortune, the Wandering Knight seeks a worthy master or cause to serve, whether motivated by the promise of fame, money, the desire to serve others, or some personal quest. Wandering Knights can be found throughout the land, serving great lords, exploring and hunting as adventurers, or working alongside mercenary bands to raid and pillage. The Wandering Knight is a staple of the adventuring life. Essentially, this is a hedge knight. The Wandering Knight traverses the world with only what they can carry on their backs and saddlebags. Whether you are a hedge knight with only their horse, arms, and armor, a soldier in search of a new master after the previous one died, or the younger child of an established knight or noble household, you possess only that which can be carried by yourself and a horse. Possessed of no lands, little money, few prospects, and a knighthood that may or may not be questionable, meaning you might not actually be a knight, the wandering knight must make their own way in the world, improving their station in life through the strength of their sword arm and their mind. Yes, I know I need to fix my grammar. I'll be fixing that later. What motivates your wandering knight? Do they seek to make a name for themselves and win glory and fame? Do they wish to perform great deeds and heroics for the common folk? Are they seeking to restore the honor and prestige of their family's name? These are up to you to decide. Now for the piece de resistance, the thing I'm most proud of. Pelgrenach the Marked. Pelgrenach the Marked is a dragon, a metallic dragon of lawful good alignment, and he is size huge. He has a 20 armor class, 212 hit points, a walking speed of 40, flying speed of 80, and a swim speed of 40. His strength is a 25 with a modifier of plus 7. Dexterity is a 10 with no modifier. Constitution of 23 with a plus 6 modifier. Intelligence modifier of 16 with a plus 3 modifier. Wisdom 15 for plus 2. And charisma of 19 for plus 4. Plus 6 to dexterity saves. 12 to constitution saves. Plus 8 to wisdom saves. And a charisma save of plus 10. He has a plus 7 for insight, plus 12 for perception, and a plus 5 for stealth. He is immune to lightning damage. He possesses an amulet of proof against detection and location, a ring of mind shielding, and a ring of protection. He has blind sight for 60 feet, dark vision for another 120, and a passive perception of 22. He knows common and draconic languages. He's a challenge rating of 17 and with a proficiency bonus of plus 6. Also, as an aside, he is specifically a bronze dragon, an adult bronze dragon. He is amphibious. He has legendary resistances 3, and again, amulet of proof of detection and location, ring of mind shielding, and ring of protection. He has multi-attack, so he can bite, claw, or tail smash. Or tail. He has a frightful presence. So if you're within 120 feet of it and fail a DC 17 wisdom save, you are terrified for a minute. Yes, it can use breath weapons of 5 to 6 times. A lightning breath, and his breath weapon is a lightning breath and a repulsion breath, both with DC 19 saving throws. And with his lightning breath, he can deal 66 average lightning damage on a failed save, or half that on a successful, so 33. He can change his shape because he essentially has access default to a polymorph spell. For spellcasting, he can use shape water, detect magic, speak with animals, and mage hand at will as if they are cantrips, which obviously 2 of them are. Twice a day, he can cast Beast Sense, Comprehend Languages, Detect Thoughts, and Thunderstep, with some of these spells being a DC 18 as well. And once a day, every day. Now, the rest of Pelgrenach is pretty standard for an adult bronze dragon. Obviously, this is his lair. layer actions and regional effects. So I can see very bloody normal. Absurdly normal, as a matter of fact. So yeah, that is all of my homebrew items, spells, backgrounds, subclasses, and overall just basically all the stuff I have that is homebrewed. I do sincerely hope that you guys actually enjoy this video. And if I'm not able to do a D&D session this week and post it later this week, I do apologize. However, there are things, this is outside my control, which is why I'm posting. Hello, viewers and subscribers of Guardian of Stories. This is me, Guardian, doing this outro as well, just like I did the last one. Quick explanation in case you didn't watch the previous video. The reason I may not be doing a D&D session this week or even next week, as I said, somebody was, because of IRL circumstances and issues outside of my control, we did not have a session last week, and we might not have one this week or even next week. The reason for that is the DM, my DM, he was injured last week. Like the day of the day the session would have taken place, he injured himself. I will not be explaining what happened, how he got injured. All I can say is it was severe enough he had to be hospitalized. He spent 2 days in the hospital, so very serious. I do not know if, and it was serious enough as well to require surgery. I do not know if he had it already or if this is coming up in this next week. So I do not know if we'll be having a D&D session this week, because right now it's Monday. It's like almost 6 o'clock for me when I'm making this outro right now. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and the one previous that will be coming out just before this one. Hopefully hopefully this will compensate you for the last week and hopefully this week. If it doesn't, well, too bad. Nothing I can do about it. But regardless, if you like this video and the previous one, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting content, and check out my other videos. Watch them. Leave likes, comments on this video and all others. Leave likes and comments. Tell me what I might need to improve, or whether you just enjoy it or not. And for improvement thing, please be constructive. Don't just leave hate comments. That's just annoying and it's a waste of time for everybody, you included. But anyway, folks, please help my content grow. Support me. Please support me. Let my content grow so I can continue putting out better quality videos. Well, good night, and I'll see you guys next time. Farewell.